Down. You can stop talking because we don't want to hear anything you've been saying. You're going to say the same thing you all say every time a black body gets shot down in this city.
That protester eventually taking over the microphone, arguing with attendees who said they wanted to hear more about the investigation into the officer-involved shooting death of a man in his 30s who police say pulled a knife on officers during an arrest. It came shortly after Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway and Police Chief John Patterson delivered an update about the shooting, saying it would be thoroughly investigated. After that disruption, the press conference did eventually continue, the police chief going on to say the investigation will be completely independent.
We have to ensure that this particular investigation has complete autonomy from this police department. We're going to cooperate fully with it. We're not going to influence it. Anything they need, they're going to get from us, period. That's what I can assure you.
The State Department of Justice is leading that investigation, and Police Chief Patterson saying officers were called about somebody trying to get into parked cars on a busy neighborhood not too far from the Capitol yesterday.
Yeah, the chief says the man in question took off on a bike, came off that bike during a confrontation, and pulled that knife, a bystander capturing the incident on camera. You can hear the gunshots there. Chief Patterson saying the taser was deployed during the arrest attempt but did not work, and that same officer then fired their gun. The man, described only as being in his 30s, died later at the hospital. A second officer was also injured. None of the 4 officers who were detaining the man were wearing body cameras. As Chief Patterson says, no patrol units are equipped with those cameras. All 4 officers are on administrative leave now while the state reviews witness statements